What's up, guys? Welcome back to Streetcar Shenanigans YouTube channel. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing a project that you guys have been seeing in the background. And if you follow us on Instagram, you've probably seen a handful of images on the recent fabrication we've been doing to it. And I'm really pumped to show you what this car's sitting like after being in the background for so long. So let's get right into it. Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. I have a new camera gimbal, so hopefully the video footage will be smoother, but occasionally it'll probably drift off my face like I just did there. So I'm going to try my best. We'll be getting used to it. And it's kind of heavy, so I'll probably be switching hands and sides of the screen pretty often. But hopefully you won't get as much brain damage watching the videos, and we can upgrade the quality of the YouTube channel once again. Alright, so in today's channel, or on today's video, I want to show you guys the 454 SS project real quick. You guys are going to be seeing more and more of it in the upcoming month, because we're getting to the point where it needs to go to paint and body, get painted, and get started, fired up, and ran. We're not going to be doing a whole lot of interior stuff to this, so we have to do a stereo inside. We have to put Dakota Digital dash in it, but everything else is in the engine bay and underneath. And the underneath is starting to look pretty sweet, so that is going to be the focus of today's video. So I'm going to lift it up, show you guys what we've been working on so far. I just want to start by showing you guys the front suspension and the engine, and then we will get to the bottom. All right, so starting off with the front end of this thing, we have the Wilwood 6-piston brakes on it. Super sweet setup. It has all QA1 coilover front suspension, and that is the gist of the front. We obviously replaced all the steering components to make sure everything's gonna be nice and tight. This is a pretty low mileage truck, but we wanna make sure that it steers and handles good. So we replaced all the steering components, we replaced all the suspension components with QA1 in the front, and obviously put the big Wilwood brakes. We have to put the Wilwood master cylinder on, distribution port, proportioning valve, and then run the lines. We might reuse some of the old lines because they're in like mint condition, so I don't mind reusing the ones going to the rear. The ones to the front will probably be changed out for new. We'll put some tabs on the frame rails like we usually do. All this wiring is going to be weeded through and removed, and the wheel tubs and stuff are going to go back in here eventually. We just ordered the accessory drive for the front, so you guys will see that. It's going to be a CVF billet accessory drive. Going to be super sweet. Then we're going to do an aluminum radiator, electric fans, pretty basic stuff. We're going to reuse the factory AC condenser because we are going to put air conditioning back in this thing. So that will be really fun. But that pretty much wraps up the engine bay. You guys will see more on the engine bay in the future when we start actually getting stuff done on it. But let's get this thing in the air and let's look at the real cool stuff that we've done so far. Alright, so I got the 454 up on the lift. Let's check out everything that we've done underneath. Let's start with we'll start at the front. We'll go to the transmission, which you guys have seen in the past, I think. And then we will cover the cool stuff that we just recently been finishing over the last few weeks. Alright, let's jump in. Alright, so starting at the front. Obviously, we got the big block Chevy. We stayed true to the name. An LS did cross our mind briefly for this project. And then was quickly turned off because you just need to have a big block. We actually used the long tube headers that he had on here. I think they were a set of Hedmans or something. We had them ceramic coated after I put V-bands on them. We are using a Terminator X Max Stealth. So you guys saw on the top that it had a 4150 throttle body, or like a carburetor looking thing. So that's what it has. It has the throttle body injection basically from Holley. But it is using a standalone ECU that will be mounted inside the car that will give us electronic 4L80 control. So we want to get a deep overdrive or overdrive and lockup, so we got that. We got a Circle D torque converter, or I'm sorry, TCI torque converter to go with that. Billet front half with triple disc lockup. But moving down to the cool stuff. All right, so let's touch on my favorite part of this project, which has been the exhaust. Now we just recently finished this. We came up with a cool idea that with the rear suspension, you guys will see in a second, with no leaf springs anymore, we're able to kind of sneak them out the bedside. So the exhaust kind of turned into a little bit bigger project than originally anticipated, which is good though, because we like doing custom exhaust work. So let's check it out. So we ended up doing using the headers that were on the truck, which I think are a set of Headmans. I modified them. I put an O2 bung on one side, V-bands. And then for some reason, you could see from the front that one side hangs a lot lower than the other. This side's lower than this side. So to correct that, we jogged it up with a couple like 22 degree pieces out of 90, so it's all round. And then chased it around. Decided to stay in front of the trans cross member and meet up with the other side over here. The other side's pretty simple. We only required really one bend in it to get it to kick over. Moving towards the back. So here's the rest of it. We decided to stay true with the Borla Pro XS mufflers, which unfortunately I needed them to be offset towards the rear, so that required the logo to be upside down, which is kind of annoying. But you can see, once again, it's all back purged. It's all sanitary grade tubing. It's all obviously stainless TIG welded. So everything turned out really, really good. Now this part we did a little bit different. I recently did an exhaust on the Lightning from the channel, and I didn't like how the two of the same radius bends looked. So this I tried something a little bit different. I think it turned out really well, which was cutting one of the 90s and putting a straight piece until they kind of lined back up again. So instead of having a big gap here from where the 90 would be, it just puts a little bit of a tight gap. And it turned out way nicer in my opinion. So that's good. Then we go out the bed side, which I'll show you guys that side in a second. You can see I bolted that hanger onto the bed. So there's a hanger there. I have a support here. And then I have a hanger back here, more robust rubber hanger that needs to be cleaned. But that is the extent of the exhaust, and it turned out really good. I'm happy with it. And I think it looks absolutely killer from pretty much any angle, especially this one. That is, so we started off with 3-inch sanitary stainless everywhere, and then I got some 3 to 3.5s. So we upsized it to 3.5, so it matched the size of the truck a little bit better. As you can see, that worked out pretty well because it looks super killer. I mean, the cuts are like almost identical. It looks great. Could not be happier with the exhaust. So one thing that I've noticed, or one thing that happened with this project that I'll share with you guys, is obviously this bed side is rounded where the tips come out. So we had to figure out the angle to cut those at. And then once we did that, we realized that the space around them is now circle because the pipe comes through straight and this is at an angle. So we had to we're making a trim ring that goes on here. I actually have it in the other room, so I'll show you guys that in just one second. And then we'll cut out the rest of the remaining of the inside to make sure that this looks perfect. I mean, it's pretty damn good as is, but I think having a trim ring on there will help it stand out from the truck a little bit more. But anytime you look at it, it sticks out about, I would say 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little bit more. Once we put the trim ring on, it won't look like it sticks out as much. But I also wanted to try to keep the exhaust off the side of the bed and out of the massive wheels that we have on order. So let's grab the trim ring. I'll show you guys the finish, roughly what this is going to look like finished. Now, I was pretty happy with how that exhaust turned out. It was obviously a lot of time, but keep in mind, everything is back purged. Everything is done, executed by the book. We tried to make it, obviously, as nice as possible. Got the trim ring. I'm hoping that the footage isn't so shaky with this gimbal thing. It's really heavy, but it should work out pretty good. All right, let's try this. So here's the trim ring here, and all the circles are going to be like panhead Allen stainless bolts. And that is roughly what it will look like. It's going to be sweet. And then we'll trim out, obviously, everything that's overhanging. Mount that on there. She'll be good to go. All right, so that wraps up the exhaust on the 454. Borla Pro XS, 3-inch, 3.5-inch tips, 1 7/8 inch long tube headers. Now let's go to the rear suspension. Now, we had one problem when we were looking for rear suspension. One being that we already had QA1 front coilover suspension. Then we started toying with the idea that, hey, we're probably not going to make the deadline for driving this thing at the end of the year last year. So let's go a little bit further. Let's put coilover on the rear also. Now, QA1 does make a coilover conversion for this truck. However, it does not allow you to utilize the 14-bolt rear end. You have to switch to a 10-bolt. Well, having 650 foot-pounds plus and putting a 24-inch by 11-inch rear wheel on this thing with God knows how much tire didn't sound like a good idea. So, after doing some digging, we found out that Ridetech actually makes a coilover kit, and it's a little bit better quality overall. Everything's TIG welded versus MIG welded. I shouldn't say that. That's not true. Not everything is TIG welded, but everything is really, really nice. Everything's powder coated or billet, and it installed really good, so I have no qualms about it whatsoever. So let's check out the hardware on this one. So we started obviously with the 14-bolt rear end. I did narrow it about 2.5 inches on each side, I think is how much it came out to be. Just enough to where I think that the Wilwood caliper will fit in between the coilover and everything. So we have Wilwood rear brakes. This is a new style big Ford bearing. When we took the 14-bolt apart, we realized that the inside of the factory posi was broken, so we switched to a Eaton True Track for the 14-bolt. This is a 9.5-inch ring gear 14-bolt, which led to some confusion and some misordered parts. So once we got everything squared away there, we were able to fill it, and this does upgrade it also to a 33 spline axle. So we got those coming from Mosier, and that will complete the rear end itself. You see we have the premium coilovers from Ridetech. The thread on the body is like so nice. I like this locking adjustment ring. It's got like a clamp style, so you just pinch it. Everything works really good. But this Ridetech coilover is like a 3-link conversion. It's super badass. It does kind of need to maintain the stock style cover because of how this apparatus bolts on here. So we weren't able to put like a big girdled cover on it, but this rear end is so freaking beefy. I'm not worried about that in the slightest. It does come integrated with the C-notch. So in order to install this kit, we did have to take off the entire bed basically. And we took off the entire bed, cut, drilled, and installed these big ass brackets that are in here. All those get bolted on, and you see that it gives you a mounting point towards the front, which is basically a ball joint there for your upper third link, and then that sets the location that it sits at. And then instead of the leaf springs and brackets, it gives you new traction bar brackets and gives you basically the lower control arm that goes to the front leaf spring location. So all that works out really good. This kit's able to drop the rear suspension up to 7 inches. We probably won't be utilizing it to drop that much, but you can see already that where the leaf spring location is, it's like a 1/2 inch lower than where the frame rail used to be. So we've already dropped it probably 4 inches just bolting this thing on. And it looks absolutely killer. Pinion angle sits good. We've already checked the alignment of the transmission to the drive shaft. All the driveline angles are going to work out nicely. So overall, this is probably the best angle of the truck because you can see all the exhaust, you can see the badass rear suspension. It's just super badass. So we already have the Wilwood kits and brakes are already here. So once the axles get here, we'll be able to finish the rear brakes, get the master cylinder on, make the brake lines, and have the brake system wrapped up. Brake system will be complete, and the fuel system is ready to be completed also. We got a brand new tank, and Tanks Inc. was really, really far behind on getting us the one with the integrated large pump. So after talking with the guys at Aeromotive, they actually sold us one of these things, which is pretty cool. You drill a big hole in there. It has its own baffling system, its own foam. Everything drops in there. You set the height with the 340 pump, and we should have plenty of fuel pump to feed this big block 93 octane. A couple other things that we need to address underneath here. Emergency brake cable change. We're going to have to get the Wilwood kit to do this, so these will end up getting cut off the rest of the way. We got to get some new hoses for the filler neck. Things like that are going to get replaced. Everything else back here is all tight and done. All right, so the 454 that pretty much sums up everything that we've done to it in the last few weeks. We've really been moving on it because we want to get this thing to paint, and we wanted to get the extent of the season with the owner since he didn't have it at all last year. It's going to be wicked. So the big things that are left are we're going to be doing it's going to go to the body shop. So it's going to get fully repainted. We're going to do a single rear window conversion. So it currently has the split window. That'll go away. And the third brake light up there is also going to get removed. So that's going to look super sleek, along with like eliminating the bed holes in the top and the antenna. All that's going to change as well. So it's going to be super streamlined, super sleek. We might come up with some custom decals to put on it. And then the crown jewel of this is really going to be the wheels. I'm not going to go into depth too much on the wheels because I'm hoping that we're going to see them in like 3 weeks. So for now, I'm just going to let you know that they're huge and they're made by Build Specialties, but I'm not going to show you the design or the color or anything until they get here. We have to order tires for it and a handful of other small things. Like I told you, the accessory drive. We already have all the Holley and ignition components that we need. We have the return regulator. So there's a lot of things that we have that we just got to start busting on it and get it knocked out. And hopefully we'll hear this thing fire up in February and go to the body shop and be done to go home in March. So a lot of work. This was a smaller project that turned into a big one. So if you guys want to see more on the 454, smash the subscribe button down below, obviously. We are bringing in another project that's been sitting around and collecting dust. Now, we initially wanted to do both these at the same time to do a build-off, and they both got pushed to the wayside trying to follow that idea. And then it just got to the point where we're just so busy with so much stuff that it just wasn't really going to happen as easily as we thought. So now we finally are going to get started on it. Now, I'm not sure how close these projects will line up, but the important thing is it's here, it's beautiful, and I'm excited to get started on it. So this is Josh's Lightning. He recently got it painted. It's got a pretty decent paint job on it, but it looks so clean. He's got obviously the later model Lightning wheels on it, which I like. The interior is a little rough, and there's absolutely not anything inside of it. So that's going to be, it's actually a bigger project than we thought. We thought that it was going to have some of the engine bay put together and things like that from the paint. But realistically, the entire driveline, engine bay, everything is completely gutted. We already have a 427 built for it. We just ordered the heads for it. They've been, well, I shouldn't say we just ordered them. We just got confirmation that we're going to be seeing them soon because we ordered them forever ago. And obviously, COVID's made it difficult to get cylinder heads. But it's a really clean truck. I'll confirm later what kind of miles are on it. But I just want to show you guys that we have both of these at the same time because it's really cool to have the 90s Sport Truck Kings, two of them in the same spot. You guys obviously remember, if you haven't seen, Brian's Lightning, which is how Josh found us, was with the ProCharge small block Ford Lightning. So that's really fun too. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up our video on the 454 and gave you a sneak peek on the Lightning. Please make sure that you guys are hitting the subscribe button down below and the bell for the notifications so you guys can know what we're uploading and when. We've been trying to do Monday and Thursday. Last week I was a day late, so you got Monday and Friday instead. But we are doing 2 uploads a week to keep you guys up to date on what's going on with the shop. There's a lot of stuff going on, and you guys are going to see some pretty rad projects taking off over the next few days. And I know that this one is a favorite to the originals. Not that we've done much with it on the channel, but you guys know that it's lurking around here somewhere. Oh, we got the 2 front end. You guys haven't seen much with this car, but this has a Rock Solid Motorsports 2 front end, but it's a road race car, so we did a lot of additions to it. Added a sway bar mount. We just put a front bumper on it. We got to put a tow hook on it. Turned out pretty good. We had some extra reinforcements. And then mounted all the stock stuff back in here. But let me show you. So Zach's 3 valves looking really good. We're going to be doing the hot side on this week. And maybe old girl's going to be getting some attention pretty soon because we moved her into the shop. So there's obviously a ton of projects waiting to get in here. Some of them are extremely extravagant. Some of them are really small. You might not even see them on the channel. But either way, we're trying to bring you guys as much content as we can in 2022. So please, please, please hit subscribe, hit the bell, and stay in tune with what's going on. We are going to be releasing some new hoodies and shirts on our website rather than using Teespring. So if you ordered Teespring in the past and you were upset with the quality or you did not think it was worth the money, please message us. And we will make sure to get you taken care of when the new stuff arrives. I know a couple of you already have, so we have turned off that store and we are not using the link anymore. So we'll see you guys in the next video. Once again, thanks for watching Streetcar Shenanigans. Thank you again.